Hello Year 6. We're starting our maths lesson from my kitchen this morning because I've been given a very important task. My job this morning is to make pancakes for breakfast for the MI5 agents here at MI5 HQ. But I've got one small problem. The recipe I have only makes enough for one person. So I need your help in order to make the recipe bigger to serve more people. Do you think you're up to the challenge? So here are the ingredients in order to make one serving of pancakes. I've got 350 millilitres of milk. I've got 100 grams of flour. I've got 2 eggs and 1 tablespoon of oil. Now I need to make the pancakes for 8 agents. How many eggs am I going to need? So take another look at the ingredients. If this is how much I need to serve one person, what do I need to do to the ingredients in order to serve 8 people? Have a think and get in touch with your answers via our Year 6 email. Don't be too long sending in your replies. I need to get flipping. Okay, so as much as I love making and eating pancakes, unfortunately that is not the focus of our lesson today. Our lesson objective for today's lesson is to calculate ratio. Now this is a new word for us in Year 6. We haven't done any learning so far on ratio, but don't panic, we're going to go through it very slowly and with lots of opportunities to practice today. Okay, so at any point feel free to pause the video, rewind what I've just said and take your time. Don't just rush through to get through to those chili sheets at the end. Okay, so like at the start of every other lesson, it'd be really useful if you could have something to write with and something to write on. So that could be a pencil, a pen, some paper, whatever is available to you. So when we're talking about ratio, the ratio of something shows the relationship between 2 or more different values of the same unit. Okay, so I'm going to show you some examples to help illustrate what I mean. Okay, so here is my first example. As you can see here, I've opened a pack of pencils and I've got 4 red pencils and 1 green pencil. Now I could use a sentence here to describe what I've got here in front of me in terms of ratio. So for every 4 red pencils, I have 1 green pencil. So if I was going to buy another pack of these pencils, I'd have the same number of red pencils compared to the number of green pencils. Okay, so if I want to write this down as a ratio, I would do so like this. So I've got 4 red pencils. I'm going to put a colon here to separate the first amount with the second amount. Okay, so I can see here that I've got 1 green pencil, so I'm going to write a 1 there. Okay, so here is my example number 2. As you can see, I've got 3 cushions on the carpet. I've got 1 emoji cushion and 2 yellow cushions. So for every 1 emoji cushion, there is always going to be 2 yellow cushions. I wonder if you can think of what the ratio would be for this picture in front of us. Okay, so I hope that those first few examples helped show that ratio basically means, well, it basically shows us how much of one thing there is compared to another thing. So I've got a quick your turn for you to have a go at now. It's just 2 questions to practice using that language to do with ratio. So that sentence stem that we've used, for every 1 emoji cushion, there are 2 yellow cushions. Okay, so remember that sentence stem. So you might like to pause the video here so that you can see the questions on the screen as you have a go. Now, we're going to move on to something a little bit different now, and we're going to look at equivalent ratios. So hopefully, if we think back to all the work we did on fractions, you'll remember that the fraction 1/2 can have lots of different equivalent fractions as well, can't it? Okay, so 1/2 can be the same as 2/4. 1/2 is also equivalent to 4/8. Okay, 1/2 is also equivalent to 3/6. Okay, so much like we can have equivalent fractions, we can also have equivalent ratios. So it's my turn now. I'm going to show you what I mean. Okay, so we are creating equivalent ratios. Now you can see in the picture I've got 3 red marbles and 4 blue marbles. So the ratio of red marbles to blue marbles is 3:4. So for every 3 red marbles, I've got 4 blue marbles. Now this is 1 pack of marbles, but what if I wanted, what if I had 5 bags of marbles? How many red marbles would I have? So before I show you a really good method in order to work that out, I'm going to show you a picture of what that would look like. Okay, so you can see here, I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So 5 rows of marbles, and that represents 5 bags of marbles. Okay, so the ratio is consistent, isn't it? It's the same. In each row, we've got 3 red marbles for every 4 blue marbles, or 4 blue marbles for every 3 marbles. Okay, now that would stay the same in each bag. Okay, so if we wanted to find out how many red marbles there were in 5 packs of marbles, well, all we would have to do is multiply those 3 red marbles by 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, because we have 5 packs. Okay, and then we would do the same to work out the amount of blue marbles, wouldn't we? Okay, so we've got 4 blue marbles, and if we've got 5 packs, then we would multiply 4 by 5. Okay, now instead of drawing out the picture of the marbles every time, because that can be very time consuming, what I've got here is a ratio diagram. Okay, so I know that the ratio of red marbles to blue marbles is 3:4. I'm going to helpfully write red and blue at the top there to remind me which is which. Now I know I've got 5 packs of marbles, or 5 bags of marbles, so I need to multiply the first number in our ratio by 5 and multiply the second number in our ratio by 5 as well. Okay, this is where it's a little bit like finding equivalent fractions, because we have to multiply both numbers by the same amount, because usually with equivalent fractions we multiply the numerator and the denominator by the same number as well, don't we? Okay, so 3 multiplied by 5 gives us 15, and then 4 multiplied by 5 gives us 20. So with this example, in the same way that we can create equivalent ratios by multiplying the ratio by a given number, we can also simplify ratios as well. So let's have a read of this question. The ratio of spy villains to agents is 6:8. If there were only 3 villains in Kidderminster, how many agents would be needed? So you can see I've already set out part of my ratio diagram here. So I've forgotten to write what each of these numbers represent at the top. So I'm going to do that now because that's really helpful. So I'm going to write, so there are 6 villains. So if I write their villains, and then agents there, I already know that my 3 goes at the bottom there because I'm going from 6 villains to 3. Okay, so now I've just got to work out what I do to the 6 in order to get me down to the 3. Well, I know that 3 is half of 6, so I can divide by 2. Okay, and that simplifies the number of villains to 3. So whatever I do to this number, okay, to keep the number of agents or villains to agents in proportion, okay, so to make sure I'm reducing them by the same amount, I need to divide 8 by the same amount here as well. So 8 divided by 2, which gives us 4. Now I thought I'd move on to an hour turn because I thought it would be good for us to have a little practice together before moving on to the chili sheets. So if you get your pencil or pen and your piece of paper ready, we can have a little go at this one together, okay? So this is a little bit of a more challenging question, but I think you can manage it. So in year 6, the ratio of iPads to children is 1 to 2. So there's 1 iPad for every 2 children, if you're lucky, that is. So how many iPads are needed in a class of 30 children? Okay, so you can see I've already set up my diagram. I know that I need to write iPads here and children there because the ratio of iPads to children is 1 to 2. Okay, and then I've already filled that bit in there. Okay, so 1 to 2. Now I want to find out how many iPads, so I'm going to underline the important bit of the question, how many iPads are needed in a class of 30 children. Okay, so I know that I want to end up with 30 children in this ratio. Okay, so I've written that in there already. Now, I want you to pause the video and have a little think of what we need to multiply both numbers in our ratio by in order to be able to find out the number of iPads. Okay, off you go. Okay, welcome back. Now hopefully that would have been a nice simple one for us. We can see that we've gone from 2 to 30. So what can we multiply by 2 in order to give us 30? Well, we could use the inverse and work back there, couldn't we? So 30 divided by 2 is 15. So 2 lots of 15 gives us 30 children. We have to multiply the number of iPads by the same amount. Okay, so that gives us 15. Right, so I suggest that we do this one together as well because this question is a little bit more challenging. So we can see we've got a label for a chocolate box. There are 28 chocolates in total, and it says that there are 3 white chocolates for every 4 milk chocolates. So how many white chocolates are there in the box? Okay. Right, so the first method I'm going to show you is the bar model method. So if we've got a ratio of 3 to 4, that means that we've got a total of 7 chocolates in our simplified ratio. Okay, so to work out how many white chocolates there are in the box, I'm going to draw a bar model with 7 parts. Okay, so I'm going to use my ruler so it's nice and neat. Okay, so I'm going to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, just as a rough estimate. Okay, now then, if I've got 28 chocolates in total, okay, I need to divide that by the number of parts there are in order to work out how many chocolates there are in each section of my ratio. Okay, so 28 divided by 7 is 4. Okay, so in my bar model, each square represents 4. So 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4, 4. So what I'm going to do next, I'm going to use a colouring pencil to shade in 4 parts of my bar model, because I know that there are 3 white chocolates for every 4 milk chocolates. So I'm going to shade in the milk chocolates. So I've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, and then if I add the total of the white chocolates and then add the total of the milk chocolates shaded in, that should give us the number of white chocolates and the number of milk chocolates. So 4 plus 4 plus 4 gives us 12. Don't forget the colon. And then the 4 parts of the ratio, okay, so these 4 parts of the bar model will give us the number of milk chocolates. So 4, add 4, add 4, add 4, or 4 multiplied by 4 gives us 16. Okay, now let's refer back to the question to make sure that we are answering the question correctly. So how many white chocolates are in the box? Well, there are 12 white chocolates. Okay, now a good way of checking your answer is to see whether these numbers add up. Okay, these numbers in your ratio should add to the total number of chocolates. Okay, so 12 add 16 does give us 28. Okay, so that's a good method for checking your answer. So if you're not a fan of the bar model, you could also use the ratio diagram method. Okay, so pay attention and I'll show you how to do this. So the ratio is 3 white for every 4 milk. Okay, so I'm going to write white milk, and then the total is 7. Okay, now the next step is to draw our little diagram in. Okay, we know the number of chocolates in the box is 28, so I'm going to write 28 there. These diagrams don't have to be perfect, don't worry. Okay, let me put our colon in at the end. So this is a really good method because, like in the previous questions, you can see, right, the total of my original ratio is 7 because 3 add 4 is 7. Well, how do I get from 7 to 28? Well, I can multiply by 4 using my knowledge of my times tables. And then I know that if I do multiply this amount by 4, then I also need to multiply this by 4 and this by 4. So 3 times 4 is 12. 4 times 4 is 16. Okay, so that gives us the same answer as the bar model approach, doesn't it? 12 white chocolates, 16 milk chocolates, and a total of 28. Right, so I've got one more our turn question before I set you off on your own. I would like you to pause the video and have a go at this one. If you get a little bit stuck, rewind back, okay, and watch my explanation of the bar model method or the ratio diagram method to see which one can help you with this question. Okay, so I'll read it out. Eva has a packet of sweets. For every 3 red sweets, there are 5 green sweets. if there are 32 sweets in the packet in total, how many of each colour are there? So you can use a bar model or the ratio diagram to help you. Okay, pause the video and have a go. So let's check our answer. I've written out the bar model already for you. Now I've split my bar model into 8 parts because if we add the parts in our ratio, we get 8 in total. Okay, so I've shaded them in here. I've got 3 red parts and 5 green parts. Now, in order to work out the value of each of these parts in our bar model, I've gone for 32 divided by 8. 32 because there are 32 sweets in the packet in total. Okay, that's very important in our question there. So I'm going to write the value of each part in our bar model. Okay, so in order to work out how many of each colour there are, we start with the red and we go 4 times 3 gives us 12, and then 4 times 5 gives us 20. Okay, so the ratio now is 12 red sweets and 20 green sweets. Right, let's check that and see if 12 add 20 gives us 32. Well, yeah, it does. Fantastic. Okay, so there's our answer. You could also use the ratio diagram. So I'm going to write the ratio 3 to 5. So 3 red, 5 green, and then the total is 8. Okay, and then let's draw a little diagram in. Like I said before, it doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm doing this quite quickly. Okay, and we know this bit already, don't we? Because the total is 32. So all we have to do is fill in the gaps. So I need to put the colon there as well for the ratio. So 8, well, what do we do to the 8 to give us 32? Well, we multiply by 4. And then we do the same to the rest. So 5 times 4 gives us 20. And 3 times 4 gives us 12. So yeah, we get the same answer. Okay, so I'm going to show you the chili sheets now. I suggest that you have a look through them all and then decide which one you want to do. If you want to do all of them, fantastic, you can. Okay, it might be worth pausing the video on the chili sheet and then working through it, and then email your answers to us at the Year 6 email address. Okay, also if you've got any questions or you're really stuck or you're not sure, please email us and we can help you then as well. Okay, here's chili 1. Here is chili 2. And here is chili 3.